Hello, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hello, my name is Kelly, and today we're going to talk about how to write and publish a book. Now, we are not talking about all that today because, oh my gosh, it's a huge topic, but we're going to break it down into 5 videos. I have 5 videos all planned out, all written out, all ready to go about topics and ways and outlines and how to write a book from beginning to publishing. So that's what we're doing today. The very first, now I don't know how many videos I'm going to film today, so I may have different shirts on, I may have different hairstyles and all these, but that's not what's important. I may have all 5 have the same look, and that's okay too. But what we're focusing on are my words and the things that you need to know to get your book from idea to published. Now, this is a broad overview. There's so many topics and there's so many things, and you could probably make an hour video on each topic. So having a one series just kind of going over everything is very daunting, and it means that I can't take too much time on everything because I want these videos to be between 5, 10, 15 minutes long. I don't want them to be really long and overwhelming. So what I'm going to do is I've got some things already written down that I'm going to make more videos over to kind of get deeper into it. And I'm going to look at your comments and the things that you want me to talk about more. I'll talk about those more. And you might be thinking to yourself, why should I even listen to this lady who's talking to me right now? I don't know. I don't know why you should listen to me, to be honest. I wrote my first book in 2011. I'd written fan fiction before then, and that book came out in 2012 from a publisher. Since then I've had over 30 books out. I'm a hybrid author, which means that I have traditionally published books and I have independently published books. I've never had an agent. So that's the one thing that you need to find other people to learn about. Alexa Dunn is wonderful. She has an agent. I don't have an agent, but I do know how to query and do all that, and all that will be in this series of videos. So I know what I know, and I don't know what I don't know, but I do know some things. I have gained some knowledge in the past 7, 8 years. Oh my gosh, it's been 8 years. It's been 8 years since my first book came out. Wow. I've gained some knowledge in the past 8 years, and this is me trying to tell you an overview of that. Let's get started. The first video today is going to be on pre-writing. This whole series is broken up into pre-writing, writing, editing, publishing, and then the pros and cons of traditional and independently publishing, because you kind of need to know at the end of this where you need to go. Now, I have a notebook here because we all know I can't remember a lot of things, and then I stutter and things get weird, so we're not going to do that. So we're going to talk about 5 things you need to do before you write your first word in your manuscript. So the first thing you need to do is you need to have an idea. I mean, I know. If you're watching this video, it either means you have an idea and you want to write it and you have no idea where to even start, or you want to write a book but you don't have an idea and you still don't know where to start. Either way, you need an idea. It can be the smallest little seed of a story, or it can be this big epic that you've been thinking about forever. Either way is perfectly fine. It doesn't matter when you start out how small or big your idea is. The point is you have an idea and you want to get it out, and congratulations, you have joined us writers. We welcome you. Welcome to the stress. Number 2, you need to outline it. I don't mean this in the traditional sense. You can have an outline. I know people that know me are like, Kelly Martin, you are not telling those people to have an outline because we know that you don't outline. And that's true. I think I've outlined like 2 books in my life. 2 out of the 30 plus books I've ever written, I've outlined. You don't have to have a big outline. You can do the Save the Cat method. You can do the John Truby method. You can do all those methods. There's nothing wrong with it. I just personally don't. I write like I watch a movie from the very first scene, very first image to the very last. And that's how I've always done. That's how I did my first book too. Now my first book, I didn't know a whole lot, but I knew I wanted to write a book, and I knew that I was going to try, and I did try. After I wrote the first draft, it took 4 total rewrites to get it going. But the point is, not the problem, it's actually a good thing. The point is, you actually have a words on paper, you have a direction, you can fix anything as long as it's written down. So have some kind of an outline. Your first draft can be your outline. You can think of it as your outline. You can have 1 or 2 bullet points can be your outline. You can have just your names of your characters written down somewhere, it can be your outline. You can have a vision board for your outline. You can have a Pinterest board for your outline. I use Pinterest boards so you can kind of see what the people look like in your brain, and that way when you're trying to explain it, when you write it down, you remember what color hair they have, which is difficult, more difficult than you think. It's also difficult to remember last names. If you don't think it is, it is. It's very difficult. So have some kind of an outline. And in pre-writing, the fun one I think is a Pinterest board. That way you have an excuse to look on Pinterest. You can be like, ha ha ha, I'm working pen. 3, the third thing you need is a way that you're going to write. How are you going to write your story? Are you going to use Microsoft Word? Are you going to use Scrivener? And Scrivener is a program for writers. It's very good if you like to outline. I've used it. I think I've written 2 novels in Scrivener. It's not my favorite, but because I'm not much of an outliner. If you're much of an outliner, or you think you're going to be an outliner, Scrivener is wonderful. Also, I think every writer needs a notebook and an ink pen, or 5,000 ink pens, and 300 notebooks. That's just me. I like notebooks and ink pens. I think it's a good way to jot things out. And some people, they write their books in notebooks, and then they'll type it into Word. So whichever way you want to do it, you go for it. Another thing that I've recently, well, it was about last year before last maybe, that I started doing is I have my documents in Google Doc, and that way it's saved on my PC, on my laptop, and on my phone. So wherever I am, if something hits, inspiration hits, I can write it down real fast, and it's always there. It automatically saves. It's wonderful. And then I'll take that, and I might do a chapter at a time, and then I'll copy it and put it into Word, because that's easier in the formatting section. We'll get to all that in other videos, but that's what I do. You also need to consider your rating, your book's rating, what you're comfortable with, how much bad language, you're going to have in your books. In my outlines, sailors might blush. I don't normally cuss in real life. None of my books generally have cussing when they come out into the world, but when I write, things just flow out. And my editor, she always puts on there, I know you're not going to keep this. So she changes it. And she's right, I'm not. But you need to figure out what is comfortable for you. If you want every other word in your book to be a language, bad, curse, whatever you want to call it, word, that's your decision. You go for it. But you need to know, of course, I know you know this. If you write a middle grade, you're not going to do that. But it's up to you for anything else. My light's going out again. I won't have to quit using that light. It's up to you, whatever you want to do, or however you feel about how the language that you want to put in your books. Same with sex. Do you want to put that in your book? I'm going to take this off because it's being annoying. There we go. Do you want to have faded black? Do you want to have full on going for it? That kind of has to do with your genre too. And you can figure all that out later after you've written your book. And I kind of suggest it. I don't think you should put any real limits on yourself when you write your first draft, because it makes it so stressful. And then you're trying to pick word choices in your brain instead of editing yourself, and just let the words flow out, which is the fun part of first drafts. First drafts are fun. They're really fun because you can just write. You can just get everything out, and there's no real rules. So you can just get it out. You can fix it on editing, which is frustrating in editing. but at least you have the fun of a first draft. So I'm saying all this, especially with the language and the sex and nudity and however much you want to put in your book, but with the stipulation, not the stipulation, the caveat, the disclaimer, I suppose, that you don't necessarily have to watch all that unless you just really don't want to edit a lot. Because it will mess up your word count, of course. If you write these big, long sex scenes and then you decide I'm going to fade to black, that will mess up your word count and things like that. But for the most part, while you're writing your first draft, just go with the flow. But it's a good idea to have some kind of filter in your brain going, okay, I need this book to be relatively clean, so I'm not going to use this, this, and this word, or this, and this, and I'm going to fade to black, and I'm going to do all that. Kind of have that in your brain, even if you don't necessarily go with it all the time. It helps with the editing later on, and it will probably help you when you decide on what genre you're going to put it in. The last part of pre-writing you need to think about before you start writing is the point of view, the POV, and the tense. Past, present, or future tense. Usually in books it's the past or present tense. And in point of view, it's first person, which when you go, I did this, I did this. Second point of view is kind of like the TV show You. If you've seen that one, you do this, you do that. The third point of view is where you're talking like Jane Smith did this. I don't know, Chuck did that. Okay, so it's using their names, and it's not personal. I did this, I did that. That's third person. Or I did this, I did that is first person. You is second person. And if you use names, Charlie went to get a drink of water. It was cold. That's a very bad example. I'm sorry. Don't judge me by my examples right now. You can always change it. And I have changed points of view in drafts before. Like, I don't go back and edit my drafts. That's going to be in later videos, or the next video, actually. I don't go back and edit. So I can write the first, 25,000 words in past point of view, or past tense, decide I don't like it, it's not flowing, and switch to present and go through. I also have a whole section in my How to Write Horror series about picking point of views for horror books, if you're interested in that, and I'll leave that linked somewhere around. As for point of view, there's no right or wrong point of view to use. It just is whatever you think fits best with your story. You can try it in one point of view, and if it doesn't work, you can always change it out and things like that. Most people don't write in second person. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it works out. You be you. Some big takeaways I want you to have from this very first video in this series is please do not stress out. The worst thing you can do is get so stressed out and planning writing your book that you don't write your book. Please don't do that. If you don't do any of these steps, if you just sit down with a notebook and a pencil, or just open up your doc or whatever you're going to use and start writing, you do that. Whatever you need to do to not be stressed out about it, do that. Because stress sometimes kills your creativity. And you don't want that to happen. And you don't want to second guess yourself. And as writers, we could second guess ourselves all the time. I think that's why my word of the year is decide and stick to it, because we are so, generally speaking, not indecisive, but we just second guess like it gets so overwhelming. Because you're creating this world out of your brain. It can be a lot. So don't think too hard about it. Don't get so caught up in outlining and trying to make it perfect that you don't write. The main part is writing. Pre-writing is great. You especially need to know what you're going to write on. You especially need to have your idea. You can have an outline if you want. I like to do Pinterest boards because they're fun. Make sure it's fun. Make sure it's fun to you, because that's what will make you keep going with it. But please, 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 don't stress out. Don't stress out on point of view or tense, and don't stress out over language or sex or anything like that to the point that you don't even start writing, because that's not going to do you any good, and it's not going to do your book any good, and it's not going to do your readers that you might have later on any good, because they're not going to get your story. So please don't do that. Just have your idea. Think about a few things and then just take off with it. As one of my editors lovingly used to say, you can't edit a blank page, and that is so true. It's so true. You can't edit what you don't have. So write what you have. It will be terrible. All first drafts are terrible. My first drafts are terrible. Everybody's first drafts are terrible. That's why they're first drafts. That's why nobody publishes their first draft. They need help. That's why we hire people, or we have people to help us edit it and make it better. So please, 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 please don't give up, and don't let pre-writing get you too stressed out, because it shouldn't. It should be fun. It should be a way to get this idea out of your head so other people can read it, or just so you can read it, whichever way you want to do it, and that is perfectly fine. So this video went a little longer than I meant it to, which is totally fine, because that's why I broke this up into 5 videos, because I knew they would be really, really long, because there's so much to talk about. And even when I do talk about it, there's so much to talk about that too. It's a wondrous world, writing is, and publishing. Ah, we love it. I love it. I wouldn't have done it for 8 years. Gosh, 8 years. I cannot believe it's been 8 years since I started writing, or started publishing. I've been writing for a year. That's enough about me. If you like this, please subscribe to the channel. I would love to get over 1,000 subscribers so I can do all the cool things you have when you get 1,000, like chat with you guys more. I can have like community posts, and you can see the community posts, and we can actually talk, and I can do polls, and you can like tell me what kind of videos you'd want to see, which is awesome, because I want to do stuff that you want to see. So if this video is something you like, please like it, so I know you want me to continue in the series. I'm going to continue in the series, but I want to see if this is something that you enjoy. Leave a comment with any questions you have, anything that helps you get through pre-writing. Any questions that you have that has to do with pre-writing, leave it in the comments too. I would love to chat with you. I love to chat. I check my comments a lot because I like to chat with people. The next video is in this series is going to be on writing, and I have a whole page of tips for writing. So if you paused it, you saw it all. So don't do that. Alright guys, I hope you have a fantabulous night. Thank you so much for subscribing and hitting the like button, because I know you did that. I know you did. It's okay if you didn't. I understand. I will see you in the next video when we talk all about writing. I will see you later. Bye. Some big takeaways I want you to have from this very first, no.